watching. This is another episode of the most annoying types of fishermen. Today we're going to talk about a guy that I like to call the coach or the know-it-all. There's a weed whacker or something going off camera here. I'm just going to try to talk over it. All right? But the coach or the know-it-all is the guy that consistently provides what I call unrequested information. He sees a YouTube video or a Facebook post or some other kind of social media where there's a photo or a video, and he feels the urge to coach the person that made it to do it his way because he doesn't like it. Let me get to the bare bones of what I'm talking about here. We've got two different types of fishing and fishing photos. We have legal and we have illegal. This messes with a lot of guys that look at fishing videos or look at people's posted photos and they see something in the photo that they don't like. For example, a kid posted a nice lunker snook that he caught on the beach. I don't know where it was, probably somewhere in the West Palm area or whatever, but he caught a nice mullet run snook, and for the sake of photography he put the fish into the sand and out they came, the coaches that wanted to lecture this kid on not putting the snook in the sand. If that's you and you feel the urge to want to coach people that didn't ask for any help and didn't ask for any advice and didn't ask what you thought of how they were taking the photo, ask yourself this question. Is it legal to take a picture of a fish that's in the sand, or is it illegal? If it's legal, don't worry about it. Just say, hey, nice fish, post that, and move on. If it's illegal, then you can give the person a heads up and say, hey kid, it's illegal to take a photo of a fish like that by putting it in the sand or taking it out of the water or holding it up or using a gaff or anything. Legal or illegal? Those are the two factors that matter the most. Your personal opinion or taste or your personal preference on how people hold or handle fish in or out of the water is your problem. And unless you're a board-certified marine biologist from an accredited major university, you really don't know anything about fish mortality rates or any of that stuff. You might think you do. You might have heard anecdotal evidence. You might have heard somebody tell you something, or you read it on a website, or you read it in a magazine. But you're not an expert. You're not a board-certified, accredited marine biologist. And you're just not able to crunch the data and come up with a scientific opinion. Just because you think something, just because common sense tells you something, doesn't make it a fact. And even if it did, it comes back to this. Is it legal or illegal? Am I making myself clear? When you see a fishing video or you see a fishing photo and the person is holding the fish in the video and you feel like you want to coach them or tell them that they're doing it wrong, is it legal or illegal? If it's illegal, you can tell them that. If it's legal and you just don't like how they're holding the fish, or they decided to photograph a fish that you think shouldn't be photographed, move on. Get a life and click the little X at the top of your browser or on your phone or whatever and go somewhere else, because no one cares about your opinion. No one cares. You may have been fishing 30, 40, 50 years. You may think you're an expert. You may think you know something about fish mortality rates, but you're wrong because you're not a scientist. You don't have empirical data. You don't have the accreditation to be able to make that type of judgment. And the only judgments that should be made anyway, legal versus illegal. Let me get this straight with the snook photos, because I see this happening a lot to kids. I can take it. You guys rip me and my videos and stuff. That's kind of the point. But you see a kid catch a fish, a big snook, and he's holding it like this, vertical, right? If that gets you mad, then don't look at the person's videos or photos. And certainly don't insult the person or try to coach them unless they asked you first. Unless they're asking, hey, is it okay to hold a fish like that? Then they've invited you into the conversation and you can give them whatever limited knowledge that you think you have. But don't just downgrade somebody's photo because you feel the urge to want to coach the entire world into being like you or believing like you. All right? It might sound a little, be coming off as a little bit of a jerk here, but it's time people were put in their place. If you're not a marine biologist or in that field, and by that field I mean you have a diploma hanging on your wall, not because you work at a fish market, not because you're a charter captain, not because you're a lifeguard. Those people don't get to chime in on scientific evidence on fish mortality rates because they have not crunched the data. And if you're sitting there spewing anecdotal evidence without sources, you're wasting everybody's time, and no one cares anyway because your opinion is worthless. That might be tough to say, that your opinion's worthless if you're a lifeguard, if you work at a fish store, if you're a manager of a Red Lobster, or you've been a fishing guide for 30 years. And trust me, we all know you're well-intentioned. We all know you're well-intentioned. But by bringing it up every time, hey, don't hold fish like that, dude, you're just becoming a buzzkill. You're just becoming a party pooper. Refer back to the other board at the top. Legal, illegal. Example, it is illegal to take a tarpon more than 40 pounds, right, out of the water. 4 feet. It's illegal to take a tarpon of a certain size out of the water. Guys take them out of the water because it's kind of not a well-known law and it's a little bit fuzzy on enforcement, but you're almost within relatively polite standards to remind somebody. All right. I know that's going to be tough for a lot of people to swallow, and it's not personal. It's just a matter of the right thing to do and know when to keep your mouth shut in polite society and not to be coming off as a buzzkill or a party pooper or a grump because you saw somebody's fish photo, you saw somebody's fish video, and they weren't doing everything perfect like you like. I'm sure you hold the fish the right way in your photos and your videos, but to jump down a kid's throat and downgrade him and coach him without being asked kind of makes you a jerk. Ooh. Legal? Illegal. Bad handwriting here. Boop. Holding a tarpon out of water when it's above the size, illegal. Put in a small, very polite comment in the comment section that says, hey, I think that fish might be above the limit that you can take out of water. You're totally fine doing that. Telling somebody or criticizing somebody that has a legal tarpon out of the water and saying, hey, you shouldn't hold them like that. Hey, you're doing it wrong. Don't do that. That's legal. Going back to our qualifiers, unless you're a marine biologist and an expert in your field, you don't know anything. And making you a fishing captain or a manager of Red Lobster or somebody that works at a bait and tackle shop doesn't make you an expert. Okay, you have anecdotal evidence that's worthless. You haven't seen the empirical data. You cannot formulate a scientific fact on anecdotal evidence. And by a scientific fact, I mean it's falsifiable, the evidence is certifiable, and the evidence is reproducible. This is all stuff that goes on in laboratories and in universities with empirical data and numbers on fish that died. And to think that a kid holding a snook wrong is the reason for declining fish populations or an increasing mortality rate is not scientific, and it's pretty stupid, and it's rude. Is it legal or is it illegal? Ask yourself that. Okay? It's about civility. It's about being a polite person. And by downgrading people's photos or videos, you're doing neither. You're wanting to be coming off as an expert, but that's not the way to be an expert. Be an expert by showing your videos or your photos, and maybe people will ask you, hey, why do you hold them a certain way? Or something else. Then feel free to coach other people. But just to come out with unrequested information for the sake of you wanting to be an expert and wanting to coach other people that didn't ask for your help is rude. Okay? Anything that's not a compliment on a social media posting in the comment section can be considered hating. Even by not commenting, that could be considered hating. If you see somebody throw a cast net, let's talk a little bit about cast nets here. We're going to stay with legal and illegal. Here, we have a 7-foot cast net. It is legal. Here, we have a 20-foot cast net. Depending on where you fish and where you are, it could also be legal. But in many places, it's illegal. And you have the purpose of the net. The 7-foot net is for bait. The 20-foot net is for food. If you're throwing a 20-foot net and you're asking a guy that throws a 7-foot net why he doesn't throw a 20-foot net, it's probably because it's either A, illegal, and B, he's not throwing his cast net for food. Okay? Guys throw a 7-foot cast net for bait. 7-foot bait. 20-footer, food. 7-foot legal, 20-foot illegal in certain places, legal in others, but for food. 7-foot cast net gets 12 2 dozen baits that you can keep alive in a bait well. 20-foot cast net fills a skiff with mullet that you can eat or sell commercially or do whatever these mullet freaks do with their mullets. But don't come on somebody's cast net video and offer your opinion on what they should be doing if they're getting bait and if you're throwing cast nets for food. There's the two worlds that are trying to coexist at the same time and can't. For some reason, you're feeling the urge to want to coach or provide unrequested information to somebody that didn't ask for it on what your opinion is on what they should be doing with their cast net. It's rude, and it doesn't make for good conversation. So before you post that comment on a Facebook photo or a YouTube video, just stop and type in the words, "Hey man, nice throw," or "Hey man, nice chunk." Press send, and all fine and dandy. If you feel the urge to want to tell somebody something, wait for them to ask first. No one wants to be coached without having asked first. When you're on a team, you volunteer, you sign up to be on a team, okay? Nobody walks up to you in public and tells you, "Hey, you're swinging a baseball bat wrong." Let your coach do that. Let somebody that you asked to help you improve do that. But just to offer unrequested information to somebody because they decided to post a video or post a photo is just rude. So that's it. That's the most annoying type of fisherman, is the coach, the master of unrequested information, the guy that goes on social media to try to act like an expert, even though he thinks he's an expert and might have some good common sense ideas, but isn't a board certified marine biologist with a degree from an accredited major university. All right? You're just a fishing guide. You're not in position of authority. Is it legal? Is it illegal? Stop downgrading people and stop being a coach. Don't forget to leave your comments down below this video. Share, thumbs up, and subscribe. And if you have an idea for what you think our next episode of The World's Most Annoying Fisherman should be, write it in the comments section and we might look at it. Okay? Thanks for watching.